Hey guys, Colton here from the EV Kingdom, and welcome to, well, honestly, a new What If. And sorry if I'm louder, I'm sitting right next to my phone recording this. Now, this What If, I actually had on a poll, and it was the most voted, so a lot of you really wanted this idea. So, here it is. What if Raven raised Yang and RWBY? Now, a few things I need to get out of the way beforehand. And one, how am I gonna do this? It's because when you really think about this topic, there's so many different and type of ways I could take this. One way is I could just have Raven basically kidnap her own daughter and RWBY. And that would be interesting, but that's not the way I'm gonna go for this What If. And honestly, it took me a while to even do this because there was a lot of research I had to do before even doing this What If. Yep, so stay with me. It's gonna take a little bit and before I get to the What If. If so, you have been warned. But yeah, there's just a lot we don't know before. There's a lot we don't know before the start of RWBY. We have glimpses and pieces of what happened in the past. But other than that, we don't really know a lot. Like, for instance, we don't know when Raven left Yang alone. And we don't know how old they were when Summer died. Well, officially. We also don't even know when Raven became the Spring Maiden, so I had to look a lot of this up. And how I'm gonna go with this is Raven's already the Spring Maiden, and it happened sometime after she left. And I already have a theory about that, but that's not gonna be this video. But if you do want to hear my theory on why Raven left, let me know and I will start on that with a lot more ease. Second, and I'm gonna say Yang was at least 6 and RWBY was 4. Or I did look this up and the best explanation I could find was those ages. So I'm gonna assume Raven left when Yang was still a baby, so 6 years without knowing her mother. And honestly, that leaves us with, if I'm going with the fact that Yang is 18 by volume 1 and RWBY is 16, and going just based off what I know, that would mean there would be 12 years beforehand, so expect a lot of different changes for the characters. And the most important question, how am I gonna do this? That answer is a little bit more simpler. We at least know Summer was with Raven last, before the mission that she disappeared on. She could have died, she could have became one of those mutated Grims, we don't know. Oh. This really made me rack my brain around a lot of things, so this one's gonna be a little bit different from the other what ifs I had where I really have to go through a lot of hoops. And here I thought the Blake one was more fan fiction than this, but this one's really going there. Also, I have to mention this, I do not own this picture. And no, there is no other picture with this. This is just a one panel thing. I tried finding something. Weirdly enough, it led to me finding some DeviantArt comic strips where RWBY calls Raven Summer. Like, I'll be honest, this one's just really hard for me. Yeah, on a lot of things. I'm doing this because I honestly need to. You know, I at least want to post a few videos before my well, 100 subscriber special. I've been mentioning it, so no, it's not something new. So, yeah. Anyways, now time to start the what if, and I'm basically going with the process of when Raven and Summer or get to where they were going after that entire talk we'd seen in a, I want to say, flashback in Volume 9. I looked up the scene, so I at least know that much. But after getting there, I think the change I'm gonna go with is Summer asking Raven that, well, yeah, Summer asking Raven to, if anything happens to her, watch her girls. And Raven honestly didn't want to accept that, but with a lot of persuasion, and Summer makes Raven agree to it. Leading to, well, the disappearance. And everyone's basically at a funeral for Summer. I'm going with this because there has been RWBY comics showing that there was a funeral service. Plus, we've seen a grave. They probably have to have one. Now, everyone's upset, and at the end of it, Ty and Crow, yeah, I can't speak, I promise, are just mourning. They go to see Summer's grave. They see Raven there. Ty's honestly emotional and is kind of angry, but after realizing Raven's crying, they at least let her mourn for a little bit and then go question her. Raven would mention that she made a promise to Summer. Crow and Ty are very skeptical due to the fact that Raven ran away. And when Yang was, again, I'm assuming born or at least one. Because Yang doesn't have any memories. Yeah. Point is, she ran off, but Raven would at least say Summer made her promise to keep an eye on her girls. But she also still is a bandit, so they at least come up with this idea. Raven would come over more often and not as a bird to actually watch the kids from time to time, while she still lives with the bandit tribe. RWBY and Yang, why am I getting their names mixed up? They would walk in, they would introduce I am apologizing right now, I'm going to mix up names. Also, sorry if you're hearing barking dogs. Point is, Raven meets RWBY, and Ty introduces them, and also tells Yang that Raven is her biological mother, leading to Yang wanting a lot of questions answered for a 6-year-old. And we have 12 years to work with, so what's going on between all that time? Well, one, Crow is keeping an eye on Raven, so a lot of times he's also there. But he still gets the job at the school. Well, all of the Crow stuff happens. And nothing really changes with Crow. Ty, he's still mourning, and also skeptical of Raven due to, well, everything that happened between them. But I'll say at least at the end of the 12 years, when we get to Volume 1, Ty will be at least okay. And Raven does have a room in the house. Now, the 3 people that changes the most. I'm gonna go with RWBY because, in comparison, she doesn't have the biggest change. RWBY would mostly be asking Raven about a lot of things, like what is she like, what does she do, is she a huntress? Basic toddler questions, and also asking a lot of questions about her mother. Raven here knows Summer on a better terminology than Crow and even Ty. Going by the fact that even and Raven knew Summer was lying to them. So I'm guessing they're at least like best friends, and in the same terms as Sasuke and Naruto, or at least. But honestly, in my opinion, I think Raven would just tell a younger Ruby that she promised her best friend she would watch over. She's not gonna sugarcoat it saying she was the best person ever. In my mind, she would at least tell Ruby that Summer was a good person, a good friend, but even she had her secrets. And not all of the things she did were the best. Ruby would be a little bit pushed back by this, but she would at least respect Raven's honesty. And also, Ruby is a weapon fanatic, so at some point I do think she would be asking Raven about her weapon, and this creates a bonding opportunity for them. And when Volume 1 happens, I like the idea of Ruby implementing some of the things she learned from Raven. And like her sights, or her Crescent Road's blades, aids actually being able to be infused with dust, creating different effects depending on what dust she's using and what combination of dust she's using. I really like the idea. Yeah, of it. Plus, Raven does have multiple different blades for her weapon, and depending on dust and dust combination. So, I just like the idea, okay? Now, Yang. She also has a big change, but it changes along with Raven, so I'm gonna talk about both of them here, but keep in mind they're happening at different paces. For Raven, she's basically keeping her shield up. We know she cares about her family, hence why she still has a portal to each of them. But she also has to show no emotion on the battlefield. Being a part of a bandit tribe would basically lead to you growing up isolating your own emotions. And showing any sign of weakness could lead to life or death for you, your friends, and or everyone in the tribe. Alright, so that's Raven's mindset. And she keeps that for a while, but over time, and also talking to Ruby, he's someone who's able to at least brighten the mood of everyone around her, at least in the earlier parts. Raven's shield starts their break. Okay, and as an analogy, when Yang and Ruby would be playing, and try getting Raven to play with them, at first she wouldn't really do that. But after a while, Ruby would be able to, basically like her mother, basically out of persistency, and convince Raven to join in. By either constantly insisting and giving baby doll eyes, or even changing the rules they want Raven to play to fit her more. And over the time, again, 12 years, Raven basically gets used to being a mother. Basically not having to deal with dirty diapers and all that, but that she's starting to fit in and even see Ruby as her daughter. This also has an effect with Yang. Before, she never answered any of Yang's questions about why she left and all of that. But after basically getting her emotional barriers broken down, she would eventually, when Yang's old enough, like let's say 10, and she would tell Tai that she's taking Yang on a walk. They leave. Raven opens up a portal. They go to the Bandit tribe. And I think this scene from I'm rewriting RWBY. Yes, I watched it, and yes, I enjoy it. I just like the scene where Raven and Yang just talk. Oh, Raven even showing that she can turn into a bird. And just answering the questions they had. I really like it, and I think this would happen here, especially with a Raven, and who's more emotionally available. And when Yang finally asks the question of why did she leave, Raven's answers actually mean something like, along the lines of, when she was growing up, she had to fend for herself and everyone for her tribe. Showing any emotion would possibly lead to death. Raven, when Yang was born, didn't want her daughter to go through the same situation she did as a child. She wanted her to live better. And if that meant Raven couldn't be in her life, she would have been happy with that. She would still be watching her daughter because in the end, we know Raven does love Yang. She was alright with watching her from the sideline, or at least as a bird. But in this point in the series, Raven doesn't want that anymore. She wants to see Yang and grow up. She wants to be there for Yang. So in other words, Raven tells Yang that her leaving wasn't because she didn't feel like she could be a mother. She left because she wanted Yang to be a normal child. To have a life that isn't just fighting constantly. And Yang would still be a little bit upset, but being a lot older would understand. And by the time Volume 1 happens, I think at a few points, Yang would actually call Raven Mom. Keep in mind, Summer been raising Yang for a long time, so basically Yang considers Summer her mom. I already said why I'm mixing up names, but it's still annoying. But yeah, they get along, and Raven does eventually assign someone else to lead the tribe and stays with Yang, Tai, Crow, and RWBY. Basically being a mother, like this picture suggests. And this also means RWBY and Yang have another person to train with, and someone with a lot more combat experience. And let's be honest. So by the time Volume 1 happens, and I'm not going to get into the events in Volume 1 yet, this video is already long enough, and I need to refocus through the story again. But RWBY would be still RWBY, but she would have a better outlook on life, if not putting her mom on that high pedestal she did before. And understanding that the world isn't a fairy tale, but she can at least do her best to make it seem like a better one than it really is. Yang, he grows up a lot more. We don't have the incident she had when she was 6 looking for Raven, because Raven's basically been living with them for the last 12 years. So that will actually change a part of the story, and you want to get to it. But Yang's mentality, he also gets a lot older, or at least wiser. And she at least picks up the sword. She's still specializing in hand-to-hand, but she at least picks up the sword to bond on a little bit more with her mother. And like RWBY, she's also having a dust-infused weapon, but this is Yang. I believe she would just have it with fire. Or nothing else. Again, she still specializes in hand-to-hand, so she's not gonna use the sword or much. But she will if she really needs to, or if she gets very, very angry. Yeah. And Raven, she's just being there. You know, keeping an eye, being the strict parent to Ty's friendlier parent side. Basically complimenting and contrasting with each other. And yeah. I will get to what happens in Volume 1 in the next part, and hopefully I get that part out a lot sooner than I did with this one. And hopefully I flesh out the story a lot better. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think so far and if there's any improvements I can make. I really haven't started with the series yet at this point, so any insight or opinions or ideas you guys have will really help. Oh, and subscribe if you haven't, and so you can subscribe so you never miss another part of this video, series, or any other videos I do. Like if you haven't, comment anything. I read them all the time. Share with others to spread the word, and I will see you all next time. Bye.